United States of Lead is an informative podcast that may contain sensitive material and the occasional F-bomb. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to United States of Lead, a podcast about crime, mental decline, and the lead thread that links them. If you listen to our episode on lead poisoning's links to the fall of the Roman Empire, you'll remember our discussion about how much Romans loved adding lead to their food by using it as a seasoning additive. And you're probably thinking, wow, that's so crazy. Glad we don't do that anymore. And you probably know where I'm going with this, right? Right, Paul?
It's a little scary. I don't know where you're going with this, but I bet it's going to be strangely sweet.
This week, we are going to discuss something you might not know about, and that's the fact that we are still unknowingly cooking with lead.
What?
Yep. Just wait. I had that moment, and you'll know when. So I can't remember which episode it was that we brought this up, but just a reminder from Dr. Needleman's paper on lead poisoning, quote, "In Hungary, 1994, a major health problem occurred when red oxide lead was mixed into paprika to brighten the color of the spice," end quote. And we've discussed how lead is used in paint and ceramics because it makes these bright, vibrant colors. And the same goes for spices like paprika that have a bright, vibrant red pigment. Just assumed it was natural because, I don't know, is that weird that I assumed it was natural?
I think most people don't know what paprika is, including myself, really. I
don't know what it is.
It's not a thing. It's not a single thing. It's sort of like Lowry's or something. You know how?
So it's not like saffron, where saffron
it's not exactly. Saffron is the pollen or whatever from the flower, whatever. It is its own thing,
which is also bright red.
It's not yellow.
The saffron I use is red.
Oh,
maybe there's different kinds of saffron. So it never dawned on me to think that the reason for these vibrant colors might be because of lead. In my ignorant brain, I thought there's no possible way we're going to do this again. We figured it out, with the paprika in Hungary, and how could they still be using it? But as we've shown, just because leaded gas and lead paint was banned doesn't mean we haven't continually been using lead under the radar. And by we, I mean humans, not me and you. I mean, we are actually using it and have no idea that we're using it.
Awesome. Clearly.
And then I think of Hungary too, and I think of that Hungarian mushroom soup, which is just paprika. Have you ever had that?
No.
It's delicious. It's like this creamy mushroom soup, but like paprika. I mean, it's almost red because there's so much paprika in it.
Okay.
It's delicious. But that just made me think of it when I see that it was in Hungary was done. So can't imagine what the lead is like there. Now, Paul, listeners might not know, but you are sick today with COVID. Congratulations.
I got the COVID, yes.
You held out strong.
I did my best for a long time, but it snuck up on me.
The COVID is gonna get you. The COVID is gonna get you. The COVID is gonna get you. Add that to our kids' pop.
Absolutely.
Gloria Estefan. Nobody probably knows who Gloria Estefan is anymore, do they?
Oh, she's a big deal, I think, right?
I really don't think we realize how old we are. So this is a great time to bring up the main part of our discussion, and that is turmeric. Because as some of you might know, turmeric has a lot of health benefits. and is often used in holistic medicine. From healthline.com, quote, the spice known as turmeric may be the most effective nutritional supplement in existence. Many high-quality studies show that turmeric has major benefits for your body and brain. Many of these benefits come from its main active ingredient, curcumin, end quote. I don't know if I said that right, but I'm going with it.
Curcumin.
So some of these benefits include turmeric containing a bioactive compound with medicinal properties. And I want to highlight that this article notes that it's hard to get these benefits just by using turmeric as a seasoning alone. And they suggest using turmeric supplements, which I personally have taken in the past because I do think turmeric is amazing. And number 2, curcumin is a natural anti-inflammatory compound. And I know this because I know that it has benefits for gout. Number 3, turmeric can increase the antioxidant capacity of the body. Number 4, curcumin can boost brain-derived neurotrophic factor. 5, curcumin may lower your risk of heart disease. 6, turmeric may help prevent cancer. 7, curcumin may be useful in treating Alzheimer's disease. And number 8, arthritis patients respond well to curcumin supplements. That is fucking hard to say. Number 9, curcumin has benefits against depression. And number 10, curcumin may help delay aging and fight age-related chronic diseases, end quote. So needless to say, turmeric has some pretty amazing benefits. It does also have a natural yellow pigment, but of course, leave it to us humans to have to fuck with turmeric's natural benefits and say, damn it, you know what? This shit needs to look even more yellow.
Is that why they do it?
Yeah. So how is it getting that bright, vibrant color? And now we're getting to what this week's episode is about. Quote, researchers from Stanford and Dhaka-based institute learned that food processors in Bangladesh regularly enhance the color of turmeric root with bright yellow lead chromate to appear higher quality, end quote. Because it's all about how it looks. And God, this just popped in my head about how much of our issues with lead is all ego-based. It's all that visual. It's like nothing about the real benefits for inside your body, but the outside physical appearance.
It's just such a scam. I don't know. It's so scammy. It's apparently turmeric is the best thing on the planet. Yep. I don't know why you need to dress up
like turmeric and ginger
more.
Root. Mm-hmm.
Why do you need to zhuzh that up even further? It seems to be doing just fine.
Did they have a market research panel where they showed this turmeric versus this turmeric and people were like, oh, that bright yellow one looks more fresh. It looks more appealing. But did they tell us people that it was colored with lead? It's deceiving.
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking, how on earth is there lead in turmeric? There must be some sort of restrictions for that in the United States. It was in Bangladesh. There's no way that it's coming into here, right? LOL, of course not. According to a paper published by the National Library of Medicine in 2017, quote, the FDA has not established a recommended maximum level for heavy metals, examples being lead, chromium, etc., in spices in the United States, end quote.
That is so frightening. So you're saying that spices have free reign for lead?
Well, elaborate just a little bit more.
Okay.
Spoiler, yes, you're correct. However,
oh my God.
So you'd think with the issue in the 90s with paprika that they would have established something,
yes.
Like, oh, well, if this is happening in paprika, what other season? I mean, because me not knowing it, it's not my job to know this stuff. But if I was working at the FDA, I was like, wow, this bright, vibrant paprika has lead in it. What other bright, vibrant spices, colorful spices could this be in? Well, we have to give the FDA a little bit of credit because, quote, several existing regulatory tools have been conferred by the FDA with the Cosmetics Act and Food Safety Modernization Act for preventing contaminated spices from reaching consumers in the United States. Specifically, the FDA has the authority to inspect domestic and foreign manufacturing, packing, and storage facilities, test products and spice facilities in ports where spices are imported, and detain shipments or deny entry of products from international facilities that refuse access to FDA or third-party inspectors. Additionally, the FDA can issue import alerts. end quote. Now, they're saying that they have the authority to do it. It's not saying that they're doing it.
Yeah, we keep running into that pretty often.
Yeah. They're real smart on their wording. We have the authority to do this, doesn't mean we're doing it. Quote, in December 2016, the FDA issued an import alert after inspectors from the New York State Department of Agriculture and Market detected high concentrations of lead in ground turmeric during routine sampling. Researchers in this study say, quote, we support this alert and encourage the use of portable, fast, inexpensive, and reliable heavy metal screening tools, such as X-ray fluorescent instruments at major ports. In addition to general surveillance, the FDA has the authority to issue target field assignments to better understand particular food safety problems. We recommend that the FDA conduct a targeted field assignment focused on lead contamination of turmeric, end quote. The people in this who publish this paper are, quote, supporting and encouraging the FDA to crack down on this issue. But at the end of the day, there's nothing saying that they have to do it. And New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets were the ones who found it. It doesn't say whether or not there's going to be any actual consequences.
This is insane. I don't know what else to say. This is.
Now, as we've highlighted in nearly every episode, a lot of regulating lead falls on the consumer regulating themselves, which current events have shown us that's kind of the agenda of the government, is that the whole idea, or actually it's not, never mind. No, it's actually the opposite with women. Besides women being able to regulate their own bodies, all the other control is like, well, you got to deal with these issues.
Well, you're going to have to pay for that baby.
Touche.
You're going to have to pay for that. It's like you're going to have to pay for that. There's like all these trigger laws, right? They had all these laws that were just like, as soon as they were able to, they just went, bam, no, it's illegal for you to have an abortion. Yep. They didn't have any trigger laws about
paid maternity leave.
Oh, yeah, no. Nothing
child
like
support
that.
Starting at conception.
Insurance for fetuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, life insurance.
Like I said, as we've highlighted in nearly every episode, a lot of regulating lead consumption falls on the consumer regulating themselves. And this paper goes on to say, quote, at the local level, clinicians and public health officials should be aware of the potential for lead exposure, to excessive levels of lead from consumption of processed turmeric. Public health agencies should consider adding turmeric and possibly other spices to guidance documents and protocols used during investigation and clinical management of lead poisoning cases. Our recommendations for consumers are limited. If lead chromate is being used as an adulterant to polish turmeric roots before they are ground, it is plausible that the use of whole unpeeled turmeric root might avoid exposure to lead. Unfortunately, fresh turmeric is not available for purchase in many geographic regions, end quote. I have to say, too, it sometimes feels like I'm reading a Dr. Seuss book with like some of the like lead levels. I can't even say it. But I remember I used to always get turmeric root at Kowalski's and the co-op. But again, you have to wash the root, peel the root, grate the root. So a lot of work versus just dashing some fucking seasoning.
I didn't know what turmeric looked like. I'm looking at it right now. And it
looks like ginger.
It's sort of like a knockoff of ginger. Like ginger is sort of like.
And it's yellow on the inside, but it's not freaking neon yellow like what you see in the stores.
No.
You know, and I just realized I have turmeric downstairs. I wonder if it just says turmeric on it because it's organic turmeric and it's like insanely yellow. But like you'd think if they're adding lead chromate, but you know what? No, because those regulations say like usually if an ingredient is below a certain level that you don't have to include it in ingredients. So never mind, it could have it in it and we'd never know.
Yes. Yeah, the thing that I don't know if you're going to get to this sort of, I don't know how spices are made.
Mm-hmm. I get to it a little bit.
Okay. It just seems like it could come that a spice, what ends up in a jar, could be the components of lots of different places and lots of different things. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's just getting scarier and scarier.
Yeah. And as we've noted, too, in the past, it's not that easy to get a lead test done.
Yes. Yeah. They said something like they should use, what was it, like lightweight or portable
Well,
detectors?
they're saying the FDA should use this.
Right. I'm just, but when they said that, they encouraged the use of portable and fast, detectors for screening tools. And I
Yep.
was like, oh, cool. Like, what are those? And like, oh, X-ray machines,
Fluorescent, like,
fluorescent instruments.
I
Like,
feel like if it
oh,
has the word fluorescent in it, it can't be that cheap. But
no.
yeah. There also was I didn't have time to get to it, but there were some like tips of how to spot lead in turmeric. And there was like a water test where like if it leaves a yellow streak, it means there's lead in it. Like, so if you put like the turmeric and lead and then dip your finger and then like streak it, like supposedly if it leaves the yellow residue, that means there's lead in it. I didn't look enough into it because again, like, why is this falling on us to figure out? You buy some fucking seasoning with lead in it, you're going to go back and, hey, this seasoning has lead in it. I'd like my money back after you opened it.
Yeah.
Like I've said too, there's this illusion that since lead paint and leaded gasoline has been banned, that our exposure to lead is nothing to worry about. And I see it on Twitter, like especially with the generation below us. That's Gen Z, right?
Well, I'm in
So.
millennial. I'm a Gen X, but
I'm a millennial. So
yeah,
it must be okay. Oh yeah, you're on the cusp. I forgot. I'm on the cusp.
78. Yep.
I'm on the cusp. Yeah, I think it's like 82 were millennials and or something like that. You know that they actually wanted to make a sub generation for like 75 to 85.
The Zillennials.
Something like that, because it's interesting
Such
though,
an
because
awful name.
I know, but we are like the only ones to have that from childhood experience of analog to digital, you know what I mean? And like
I do.
The internet, like we really are special, Paul.
I heard someone well, this isn't us because we're in this. Then we're roped together, calling us the Oregon Trail generation.
Okay, I will take that.
I will take that. Yeah.
Fuck.
And
yes.
I think that says a lot. Where it's like we had computers, but they were integrated into our lives to a degree, but not like today. And it was for school. It wasn't like our own personal. I think it says a lot. It's so much better than Zillennials.
Also, to think of the screens, like everything was black with like neon green.
Sure.
Like think about, I just like computer screens in general, like the stark white, even white computer screens, I feel still like weren't like the enhanced, screens that they are today. I wonder as far as like our eyes and stuff too. Just a weird thought. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but as we've been showing.
Oh wait, were you saying something about Gen Z? Did I derail your
I'm
thought?
sorry. Thank you. Yeah. So like looking on Twitter, even like the generation below us, like, or even honestly, every generation, I shouldn't even just say that, but they're the ones commenting the most about making these jokes about boomers having lead poisoning and even like Gen X and millennials. And it's like, you got it too. And so it just shows the propaganda of that illusion that like it's in the past, even though if they knew that the residue of leaded gasoline is still in our atmosphere, in our soil and in the air, and that like we've said 100% inhaled is absorbed. And again, lead ammunition, it's in our food, it's everywhere. So it's this illusion that we're not exposed like we used to be. And Dr. Needleman said it always, man has a weird way of continually bringing it back and making it worse. And so why we're not discussing this, I think your reasoning of it's just too expensive is like the main thing. The study also furthers that thought, saying, quote, the case reports, product recalls, and surveillance data reviewed in the commentary provide insight on a non-traditional source of lead exposure in the United States and potentially globally. Removal of lead from paint and gasoline and restrictions in blood lead levels that followed was one of the most important environmental health achievements of the past quarter century. However, as we have observed, evidence exists that turmeric contamination with lead is a problem in India and Bangladesh, which are major global exporters of the spice. Future research investigating both lead and chromium could contribute to a better understanding of the pathways by which turmeric is contaminated with lead. Finally, government agencies tasked with maintaining the safety of the food supply should prioritize the development of policies aimed at preventing the distribution of contaminated turmeric throughout U.S. commerce, end quote.
This is the real supply chain. It's really understanding how these products are made and acknowledging how they get to market.
Yeah.
It seems like we haven't done that yet. Like we all have this idea, like there's all these different people making our clothes, and the conditions aren't, they're not always humane.
Yeah.
But this is the byproduct. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. This is, we're in a sense demanding people
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Just buy the jeans he's selling. And I think too, like you just made me think of the Mr. Rogers where they go to the crayon factory.
Love that episode.
Core memory.
Yeah.
But those are things that I don't see that type of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't see that, what you said, that reality of it. And even if we did, they're going to leave out the fact that they're sprinkling fucking lead chromium in the turmeric. Do you know what I mean? And as we've mentioned, turmeric isn't just being used as a spice to season dishes. And it's not just adults that are eating it. Like I said, I would take the turmeric and black pepper supplements. And you're supposed to take like 6 of those a day. And they're like the big horse pill kind.
Okay.
From an article published on January 24th, 2022. So real recent, entitled, "Turmeric Poisoned Their Kids. 4 Seattle area cases show gaps in lead testing. But one family's turmeric, quote, came from a trusted store in Bangalore, South India. How you add salt is how we add turmeric," Gali said, who is the mother or father, I think, in this family. But the spice powder was filled with lead. 3 times more lead than environmental regulators allow in playground soil. She had no idea, and the whole family ate it for years. Kitchen spices are a growing concern when it comes to childhood lead poisoning. Lead exposure damages the brain and other organs and can hinder children's development. Turmeric has been identified as the source of lead poisoning in at least 4 Seattle area families recently. Health professionals worry that many more cases haven't been identified because of inadequate childhood lead testing in Washington state, end quote. This is just from a family using turmeric as seasoning, not using the supplements, like I just said, of those horse pills that are all over. And the worst part about it, as I mentioned, all those benefits of turmeric, all the things that I'd say at least 8 out of 10 of those benefits are issues caused by lead poisoning. Like that's just so insane. Heart disease, arthritis. I mean, I just, this made me so angry. I can't even describe it.
And I missed how this was caught.
I don't talk about that in the...
Okay.
But we'll get to a little bit more of stuff in just a second.
Cool.
I'm not done with this article yet, but it's one thing when we had lead in gasoline, right? But we have it in something that's supposed to benefit your health and that people are consuming specifically to benefit their health.
I just think it would be so heartbreaking if someone was like, I'm going to get my inflammation under control.
Yeah.
I'm going to start taking these horse pills.
Mm-hmm.
And then something really bad happened because of lead. Like it's just really heartbreaking.
You can't always pinpoint lead poisoning because there's mental and physical ailments, just symptoms, just wide ranging. And so who's to say it's not helping with this one thing, but then also causing heart disease?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, So it is worth noting that the family in this article wasn't using turmeric powder found in a local grocery store. Quote, the turmeric in the local cases was not powdered packaged supermarket kind. Gali said her family in India buys the whole turmeric roots from a local store, dries them in the sun at home, and then takes them to a flour mill to be ground into powder.
Uh-huh.
The 3 other families obtained the spices from their grandparents in India, end quote. Now, because of what we know, we see flour mill and ding, ding, ding goes off in our heads.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That other study, though, has nothing to do with this study because they're not talking about adding the lead chromate. That's the supermarket stuff. That's the mass-produced stuff. These are families doing it, yes, and it probably is coming from the flour mill, but there's no way to know. And they're still using it on the root.
And now I'm questioning all that flour that's being made in these Indian states.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the turmeric, it's...
I know.
Anyway.
And side note, Indian is my favorite fucking cuisine in the world.
So it should be.
And pakora, my favorite thing in the world, chickpea flour. But don't think you're safe, because these 4 cases didn't come from grocery store spices either. Quote, spices at American grocery stores can also contain heavy metals, including lead. Last year, Consumer Reports tested over 100 products and found concerning levels of metals in turmeric, basil, cumin, and more. New York City's health department tested nearly 1,500 samples of spices between 2008 and 2017. The agency found detectable levels of lead in nearly half the samples of turmeric purchased in the United States and in more than 50% of spices overall, end quote. Why are we not talking about this? That's a very long fucking time, and consistently found that.
Yeah, this would be a trend. And this was definitely is a trend. And I would just imagine someone in some department of health somewhere, this would fall squarely on someone, if not many people's shoulders, many people's to-do pile, if we were to be really honest about what they're supposed to be doing. And it's not a big deal.
And yeah, I'm thinking the flour mills. So that's the other thing. Like, I don't know what episode you brought it in. I think it was the canned goods one. But how there's so many different ways that lead can be added.
Sure.
It could be coming from the flour mill. It could just be coming from that's obvious if they're adding lead chromate, but even if they get rid of the lead chromate and then they don't test it, thinking, okay, the lead's gone, it could still be coming from the flour mill if they're not testing the flour mills.
Yeah.
It's just out of control. Now, the researchers in this article understand the urgency of consumers knowing this information. And just a reminder that we have all of our sources listed under every episode once it's uploaded. Quote, Ivers wants to alert, and Ivers is one of the researchers, wants to help alert healthcare providers in the U.S. Quote, you need to be asking the questions and testing anybody who could potentially be eating home-prepared spices, really anywhere from South Asia, end quote. But again, it's not just home-prepared spices, as we just said above, that those were grocery store spices that they tested. Mm-hmm. And again, those freaking supplements that you're getting like 20 times what you'd be putting in a dish, just consuming that daily, not just like, once a week making a curry, but daily taking like 6 horse pills of turmeric. And the other thing we said too, that your blood lead level might not necessarily show it. If it's accumulated over time, it's going to be in your bones. So this researcher is saying how she wants to talk to healthcare providers in the US and be like, hey, listen, we need to be asking these questions when somebody's coming in for lead poisoning, or even having the symptoms of it. Like I said, there a lot of the symptoms: headache, fatigue, irritability, agitation, irrational anger, nausea, high blood pressure, heart disease. What's that noise?
Is it a drone? Is it a droning sound?
It's gone now. It just stopped.
It's like an airplane.
Oh, assholes.
I had no idea you could hear it.
Yeah. And it might just be me. I don't know. But I just like to stop just in case.
No, yeah.
All of these things people are coming to their doctors for on a daily basis. And they're not saying, hey, let's get your heavy metals tested for these issues. When it's, like I said, nearly impossible, especially for adults, to get a lead test done.
Yeah, I remember when there was some fear about like smallpox coming, like people attacking us with dirty bombs full of smallpox after 9/11, and doctors were saying like we do not know how to diagnose smallpox. We have no experience. Mm-hmm. We would think it was 5 other things before we even began to think it was smallpox. Mm-hmm. And this is clearly an issue. It's mm-hmm. Lead is lead in these alarming levels mm-hmm. are found in all these different aspects of our lives. But how would someone diagnose this? Is it true that They don't know how to do it?
Well, they know how to do it by testing. They know how to do it. It's just that, like I said, there's that one person who commented on that one lead poisoning NPR article that their physician said everybody blows lead poisoning out of proportion. It's not that big of a deal. That was a fucking physician who said that.
Sure.
So it's not that they don't know how to, but they are being misinformed that it's not that information isn't coming from people, experts who are researching lead. That person is a person who researches lead who's saying this.
Well, and going back to the Gen Z, I don't know, diagnosis of lead poisoning, of mass lead poisoning, there might be a sense that if it's that bad and it's everywhere, then everyone would have it, and it doesn't seem to be that bad then. But like,
have you taken a look?
Have you gone outside lately?
When's the last time you were outside?
Last time you...
Or on your phone.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually something I didn't bring up. Is the other thing I noticed is the joking about it. So you know how I said we're the generation of nostalgia?
Okay.
And all of these people, if you search lead poisoning on Twitter, all of the people who take pictures of their Garfield and McDonald's vintage glasses and going, I know I'm going to get lead poisoning from this, but it's worth it.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yes, Google it. That I'll find a screenshot for you and like white out the person's name and post it. But that's the type of shit we're dealing with. So again, not saying that's everybody, but there is a sector of society that is normalized. And I showed you the mega person who said it's not poisonous and that's some sort of conspiracy.
A conspiracy that started roughly 2,500 years before America was founded.
Didn't even say that to her because I was just so irate, but like, yeah, this didn't just start. And it just shows we don't have the education about it. People do think that it just came out of nowhere and leaded gas. Like that was the first we had been exposed to lead. Oh, as if we weren't irate enough. I'm just going to leave you with this. We've discussed the statistics of lead poisoning in adults and children. And we've also questioned the accuracy of these numbers since lead poisoning isn't always easily detected with symptoms that a lot of people just perceive as normal everyday issues that we just can't seem to find the source of the problem of. Mm-hmm. And B, lead testing in adults isn't a normal thing. Well, from that same article that we were just discussing, quote, we're not actually doing our job with testing kids, said Dr. Amish Dave, who educates doctors on lead testing with the King County Medical Society and Indian American Community Services. Up to 98% of children in Washington state with lead poisoning are never identified, according to the estimates from one study published in the Journal of Pediatrics. When we do find the cases, they tend to be the most egregious cases with kids with extremely high levels of lead in their blood, Dave said, end quote.
That is insane.
98%. How do we know? You're only going there if it's like, holy shit, there's something wrong with my kid.
Yeah.
Reminder, ADHD, uncontrollable anger and outbursts. This is shit kids have all the time. And yes, is some of it just because of where they are developmentally? Absolutely. Regulation is a thing that you learn in the first 6 years of your life.
So I want to put my tinfoil hat on for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to just
crinkle,
put it
crinkle,
on.
Crinkle.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I only got to dial it in, make sure I'm in the right frequencies. I know that there's a lot of money in like
drugs?
I know there's a lot of money in like phone cards. Like telecommunication companies make a bunch of money off prisoners and phone usage. Like it's a whole bunch of money. So there's a lot of money that goes into
I didn't know that.
Making sure that, oh, yeah, absolutely. So if you peel back the prison industrial complex, and it's absolutely frightening how much labor, it's slave labor,
absolutely,
is being done. It's, like license plates just at the beginning. And I would imagine there is an unused market. There's an underutilized market that someone would have said, that someone like naturally would have, some industry would have said, some entrepreneur would have said, we need to have lead testing devices in every single school, and they have to use this screening test additional tool, and they have to, preserve it on this or however the test is done. They would market that, and they would make sure that everyone had a lead test that costs money, that they make money off of every single year. Like a photo, like Justin's. Justin's is like, yeah, you need photos. We're gonna be the photos for everybody. And go Justin's. They won capitalism.
They get their medal.
You're the best boy. And so why hasn't that happened? So here's my tinfoil hat, like a crinkle crinkle. Why hasn't that happened in American schools? Why hasn't some corrupt, backdoor handshakey deal been done to test everyone?
Ready for my hat?
Yeah, go for it.
Because they make more money off of the drugs that they prescribe for all this shit.
Because I was thinking sort of I don't know if it's the opposite of that. Because that would just be too big. Like someone is like, we cannot get into this. But
yeah,
I think it's 6 of one and half dozen one of the other. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, exactly. I think it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
And then 2, they might do this now. Like, let's say that what we're showing, and I mean, it's not just us. There's a lot of lead awareness advocates out there worldwide. Now, let's say the stuff starts to snowball. Well, they're just going to do blood testing. And then we're not going to, well, what about the fact that it's accumulated in our bones? Like there's always going to be a way to divert. Like when they banned leaded gas. Okay, well, we're done with that. And then, okay, we're done with that. Still not talking about ammunition because of the amount of revenue that is.
Right. Like we still have all these bullets we need to shoot.
We're surrounded by it. And we haven't even gotten to all the discussions of what else it could be in. Like turmeric. Like I said, turmeric is one of the best health benefits of any type of food. And that's something that should really, like, as far as my algorithms, like, pop up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been searching lead poisoning. I'm all about natural health remedies. Like, you'd think that would be something that I'd know about. And also, like I said, too, like with what you said with the lead testing, I, as a vegetarian, have to get my B levels and iron and calcium tested. Just being a vegetarian from my own choosing, I'm blindly getting poisoned every day, and I can't get those tested. Like, it just makes no sense. So then I have to wonder too, because it's been years since I've taken those turmeric pills. Like, could that? I don't freaking know. But again, the fact that a lot of these symptoms, we just deal with it.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to just deal with it. The biggest takeaway too, I would say, as far as, what you were just putting on your tinfoil hat, the whole basis of our podcast, crime, mental decline, and the lead thread that links them.
Right.
They need the crime and mental decline to keep the cycle going. More crime, more mental decline, the more that those few people who have won capitalism continue to stand on their little podiums.
I saw a TikTok. I wish I had thought of this, but it's really true. And he was just saying that if you keep pressing someone about housing, he used the example of housing, but he kept pressing about housing, about how, I'm probably going to mess this up. It was like, why can't we just give everyone a house? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? And it kept pushing this theoretical argument, this rhetorical argument. And it got back to like, well, then no one would want to work. We live in a world where no one wants to do anything.
Yeah.
So really, this like threat of impending, I don't think it's just in housing. I think it's this threat of impending doom, of uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen next to you.
The cult, Paul.
Yeah.
We just talked about this in our first episode of cults.
We need that to maintain this system. That's what this system is run on. It's not a vision of the future and how we are going to increase our value to one another and our lineage.
It's supposed to evolve, but that would disrupt the revenue.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot more to discuss with spices, and I ask that everybody check out the sources and dive deeper into the information found. Also, too, like I said, there's places that said that you can test it at home with water, but I don't know the validity of that. I didn't see it in the actual studies, and I just didn't have time to research it more. But if I do find something, I'll add it to the sources. But yeah, end of the story is we have no fucking clue how many of us actually are suffering from exposure to lead. And we have no answer for being able to solve that without just getting this message amplified and just making the connections of these symptoms of lead and where we are. And side note, it's not just boomers, it's all of us. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will talk to you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to United States of Lead, hosted by Andrea Elizabeth and Paul Kramer. Want to know more about this subject? Consider making a donation on Patreon, where you can unlock extended video episodes and bonus content like deep dives and exclusive interviews. Just a quick disclaimer, Andrea and Paul are not experts in lead poisoning. We do ask that you check our sources and read up a little bit more on your own. Thanks again for listening.